All right, so having a block and a belt or a belt-like object for this afternoon. And we're going to start lying down, shoulders on the block, legs in Baddha Konasana, the feet together, knees out to the side, or they could be straight. One of my very favorite ways to start. And off. All right, so taking your time arriving here on the floor, maybe starting sitting for a moment, which I always like to do to give my hips a little squinge out before I go down. And then making your way down. And maybe using those hands behind the head, sliding them up the neck, getting hold right there at the base of the skull, giving that a little pull there. And then using the hands and that lengthen to bring your head over. And then as you're ready, releasing the hands. The arms can be anywhere you like. Landing somewhere. And inhaling and exhaling. Just taking a notice of that breath. Make sure you can breathe, that you're not on the block too high so that it becomes a little too challenging to breathe. And making any little last minute physical adjustments you need. And then here we are. And engaging with your breath a little more. Inhale, drawing in through that expanded upper chest, expanding and a little more, pulling that inhale all the way down into the lower belly. And exhale, pouring out, releasing a little more over the block, releasing a little more into the floor. And letting go of the rest of the day. Just being here now in your body with your breath. And then maybe extending that breath out through the arms to stretch them up overhead. And reaching down long to the side again, the snow angel arms, if you like, or any other kind of circling, moving pattern in the arms and shoulders that's working for you this afternoon. And we'll take a few more breaths here. And if you're moving the arms, let them land somewhere once more. And we'll take a few more breaths, just melting into the floor. And then, however works for you, making your way as gently as possible up to sitting. And we'll go to Sukhasana, crossed legs. Okay, I'll go this side first. And getting yourself settled here. And using the arms alongside, giving a little lift, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. And then slowly release with the arms. Letting the hands rest on the knees once more, coming inside, really feeling your breath. And feeling anything else that's going on. So just noticing what you notice without judgment, without denying what you're actually feeling or what's going on. Just look at yourself with compassionate interest. Simply being as you are is sometimes very difficult. We have all these ideas of what we ought to be doing or how we ought to be. See if you can let go of all of that. And then from that awareness of what actually is, and you can choose to adjust things, make a little change or a little nudge here or there. And then let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Breathing those arms up overhead. Lift a little more, bring the hands together. And as we draw the hands down the center line, really press the hands together hard. Pull the elbows wide. So doing this with a lot of strength, a lot of intention. Feeling that. And then softening, coming in, thumbs to the sternum, connecting to your heart center. Giving and receiving. Taking a few breaths here. And then let's breathe our arms back up. So going back to that strength. Really being in this sort of more overt and aggressive way. And then bringing those arms up. And how long can you keep the hands together as you extend the arms, extend a little more. And then finally the hands have to peel apart, reaching down wide to the side. And then let's take a twist to the right. Inhale and exhale. Drawing that twist up from the base of the spine. So if you can feel the upper back and the collarbones pulling wide. And then we'll reach back with that right arm, bringing it up parallel to the floor without tipping your left shoulder forward. And then reaching that left, or that left arm forward. And pull fingertip to fingertip. And let's lift the arms up in the center as we untwist ourselves. Big wide press down, changing the cross of the legs, and we'll do that twist to the left. Inhale, making space, exhale, and twist. Feeling that pull between the collarbones, that width across the upper back. Even if things are a little rounded, that right shoulder might be a little rolled in, you can still find that intention to be wide and flat. And then we'll reach back with the left arm, bringing it up to parallel to the floor without tilting that right shoulder forward. And then we'll reach forward with the right arm. Big pull, fingertip to fingertip. Trying to breathe. And then coming back to the center, lifting those arms up, and then let's reach out long and forward, coming down to the floor. Hands land on the floor. Everything softens, pouring off the sides of the body. Inhale and exhale, letting go of any tension in the face, the jaw, or the shoulders. And then coming up through that spine, coming back up onto the sitting bones. Taking a breath here. And then let's come around and onto all fours. And we'll do those cats and cows. Arching up into the cat back, maybe holding a breath or two on the first one, really feeling it all the way through your spine. And then lengthening out to the cow back, same thing. Notice where you're splatting the ribs and the belly down. We don't want to splat that down. A little hammock from the front of the body to support that long and arching spine. All right, and then continuing with that cat and cow on your own timing, with your own little variations, maybe moving forward and back. And you can think intensely if you want to really notice yourself moving through all parts of the spine, or maybe it's time not to think so much, trusting the breath and the body. And then we will finish with that and making your way up to downward facing dog. So maybe using the wide apart feet, which makes it a little easier for those hamstrings to extend. As we lift the knees, hinge back, gently expanding the back of the legs. And maybe walking the dog or anything else you want to do here. All right, and then finishing up with whatever you're doing. And we will find the best downward facing dog we can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And then see, can you really be okay with your downward facing dog at this moment, even if it's not as perfect as you would like it to be? And then coming down, sitting back in child's pose, lifting up the base of the wrist along the way so you can get a little counter stretch in the wrist. And then settling back for a few breaths. And let's come back up and downward facing dog. All right, let's lengthen forward to the plank. Pulling the sides of the body back, reaching forward from the tailbone out the top of the head, and pausing there in that plank. Deep breath, and then hinging back up to the downward facing dog, pulling those sitting bones back maybe a little further than they were before. Let's do that twice more. Coming forward to the plank. Deep breath. Hinging back. How far can you pull back? And then once more, sliding forward to that plank. And then hinging back. Pressing back more and more and more. And then we'll press back so much the hands walk back to the feet at the back of our mat. And we're here in Uttanasana, the standing forward bend. So perhaps there's a little bend in your knees, that's fine. Inhaling and exhaling, being here. And maybe grabbing hold of the elbows, as long as that's safe for your lower back. And you could try a little swaying side to side. And one or two more breaths here. And then let's all put a bend in the knees, bring the hands up onto the knees, and do a concave back with the bent knees there. The skier sort of. And then folding back over, extending the legs. And then we'll come up to standing, big reach out and up, or rolling up, either one, into the front body, yawn. Expand just a little more, pressing the arms down the side, center line comes up through the top of the head, we'll come all the way to Namaste. Breathing here to Tadasana. And then let's make our way back over. Big lift up. And coming forward. Arms can come forward in any sort of way you like. And concave back with the straight legs or the bent. And folding over. And then let's walk ourselves back out to downward facing dog, which brings us forward. And then take a big press back once again. And then we'll lengthen forward to the plank. And this time we'll lower ourselves down to the floor any way that you want to. I'm going to do the kneeling chaturanga. So starting from the kneeling plank, if you're going with me here, and then chaturanga, pulling those elbows back, squeeze them alongside the ribs, and then there we are on the floor. You can untuck the toes, and we'll take our small cobra. And calming down. And then let's interlock the fingers behind. Roll the shoulders out. So take a couple breaths, just extending along the floor, feeling those arms, squeezing the upper arms toward each other. So the hands are pressing more back rather than trying to lift to the ceiling. Arms more or less parallel to the floor. And then we're just going to lift the right leg up. So lift a little more in the upper body, lifting that right leg up. A one-legged Salabhasana. And then we'll bring the right leg down and we'll lift the left. Inhale and exhale, lifting the left leg. And bringing that left leg down. Release the hands. Bringing those arms forward into the Sphinx. Take a pull, evening our two sides out. Press the tailbone down. And then we'll peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog. And if you would like to go through a vinyasa smoothly here, go ahead, or else just taking a couple breaths in downward facing dog. And then we will lift the right leg up, reaching long through the heel. Keep breathing out through all four limbs, extending a little more and a little more and a little more. Really find that press back. And then we'll come forward to the lunge. Inhale and exhale. And bringing that left knee down, coming up in the Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then circling those arms all the way back up overhead. Namaste in front. And namaste into the floor as we straighten up the left leg. And then we will come up in the high lunge. And then let's take a twist to the right, feeling the wide upper back, wide collarbones, pulling fingertip to fingertip. And floating the left hand to the floor, into the twist in the low lunge. And let's take a circle with that right arm, reaching back, reaching down and forward and up, and once more around. And then bringing that right hand down, stepping back to the plank. We will lower ourselves slowly to the floor once more, any way you want. I'm using the kneeling chaturanga once more. We're on the floor, taking the small cobra, coming down, and then kind of like what we did before. Actually, pretty much exactly like what we did before. Interlock the fingers. Take a moment, lengthening along the floor. Except this time we'll lift our left leg first. And lengthen through that left leg, coming up in a one-legged Salabhasana. Bring the left leg down. And then right leg. And bring the right leg down. And release the hands. Bringing it forward to the Sphinx. Pulling back on those elbows, wide collarbones. And then peeling yourself back up to downward facing dog. Possible through another vinyasa if you would like. And then we'll lift our left leg up. And taking a few breaths, expanding your three-legged dog. And really pull back, really push back, and then a big inhale and exhale through to the lunge. And bringing that right knee down. And Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And we'll circle the arms, opening up the whole front of the body. And namaste in front. And straightening up that right leg. And we will come up in the high lunge. And then really feeling that pull and that width as we twist to the left. And then we'll float the right hand down to the floor. And circling the left arm, big reach back, reaching forward and up. Once more around. And then bringing that hand down, stepping back to the plank. And just for something exactly the same, let's lower to the floor. And into the small cobra. Coming down. And now we're going to Salabhasana, but we'll be lifting both legs. So let's interlock our fingers once more. Deep breath, and then lengthen to lift both legs up. Try to squeeze those legs together as closely as you can. Still being lifted, release the hands, palms of the hands face the floor. And then slowly coming down. And we'll bring those arms forward once again to the Sphinx. Taking a pull forward and up. Nice big round breaths. And then let's tuck the toes under behind you. And we'll see if we can lift up into the plank from here. All right, so coming up to the forearm plank, drawing those abdominal muscles up, maybe taking a little pause on the knees to get settled as needed, and then continuing up. So when in doubt, lift a little high, and then think of flattening it out. And let's come back down to the Sphinx. And so let's do that again. Now that we've kind of got the hang of it, inhale and exhale, lifting up, taking a breath or two there. Calming down. And then once more, lifting up. And then we are going to walk our feet in a little closer to the arms, coming into the dolphin pose. Or else you can come down, get yourself reset up, and come back. And then find that big press back through the hips. And taking a little slide forward, trying to deepen the arch of the upper back. You might not move very far. And then sliding up and back, finding that press back and up. And with great relief, bend the knees, coming down, taking a sitting back in child's pose. And let's expand ourselves back up to downward facing dog. Oh. And then through a vinyasa or not. And let's look between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up, folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Bringing the arms down the sides, long sides down, top of the head goes up, and then around to namaste. Taking a couple breaths here, I'll be right back. All right. And then calming over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back, folding over. Let's step back with the left leg. And we'll turn to the elephant rider. Pressing with those arms against the inner thighs or inner knees. We'll feel the tailbone pressing forward. Maybe a little squinging in the hips. And then let's straighten up, working that outer rotation in the hip joints. Lift a little higher, and we're going to come forward here, keeping those feet and legs rotated out. So we're coming into the wide leg forward bend with rotated out hip joints. Different than the usual yoga wide leg forward bend, which is parallel. And then let's turn back to our right lunge And we'll come forward, lifting that left leg up into the air, into a standing split, or maybe a supported warrior 3. And then slowly lowering that left leg down and bringing it back in next to the right. Deep breath, maybe a little bend and straighten. And then we'll step back with the left leg. I'm just going to stay here into the elephant rider. So look at everyone upside down there. And maybe a little squinging. All right, and really holding on there in the hip joints from the sitting bones and that outer gluteus maximus as we straighten the legs, bringing the arms up overhead. Feel like those legs are spiraling deeper and deeper into the hip joints. And then a big reach out and over, coming forward. Wide leg forward bend with outer rotation. And turning back to the left lunge. And then coming forward, lifting the right leg up. Standing split, however that translates into your body at this moment. And then we're going to slowly lower that right leg. And bring it back in next to the left. Maybe a little bend and release the knees there and extend. And we'll make our way back to downward facing dog. Concave back, folding over through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And let's lift the right leg up. And through to the lunge. And we will come up in the warrior number 1, grounding that left foot down and coming up. So try to keep that lunge down as you bring the torso up. Pulling that right sitting bone toward the floor. And here we are breathing. And then a big reach wide to the side, coming down, and we're going to the pigeon. Walking the right foot across, bringing the right knee a little forward and diagonal right. Maybe using a block underneath that right hip or anything you need, or some other position. So another pigeon option I thought of is the VinyasaSat. You could bring that left leg around and put it straight out in front of you with the right knee out to the side rather than downward facing like this, like the pigeon. All right, so here we are in the pigeon doing the cobra action, feeling the back muscles working. And that left leg is not going to be able to lift off the floor here, but engage with that left leg a little more as if maybe you can lift it off the floor, or at least feel the back of the left leg a little more. And then we'll take a few ripples here, reaching forward with the upper chest, and we'll contract and rounding yourself up. And we'll do that twice more. So if this doesn't work, just holding wherever you are. And then finishing with that, another breath here. And we'll reach back through that left leg, turning ourselves to the side, extending that right leg out so we're in Konasana, the angle pose. Reaching through the heels. Taking a short forward bend to get settled in. And then coming back up on top of the sitting bones as best you can, maybe putting a little bend in the knees if that's going to let your spine be longer. Wide reach to the side, and we're going to the eagle pose. Right arm crosses under. You can hold the shoulders, not the whole eagle pose, just the arms. And wrapping those lower arms. Inhale and exhale. One more breath here. And then reaching up. And the arms untwine, big reach down, and we will come forward. Inhale and exhale. You can have the hands on the legs like I have, or in front of you, or maybe pushing from behind. And then coming up, and we're going to bend the left leg. So I'm not the mirror here. And we're bending the left leg, the leg toward the back of the mat, and then getting your belt or belt object wherever that is. And we'll bring that right leg in, and we will line it up straight in front of you, heel to right in front of the right sitting bone, and then lengthen through the top of the head, doing your best to press that left outer leg and outer knee down. If this really doesn't work with the bent leg, it can be straight. You could also put a block or a blanket under that outer left knee so you can ground down a little more easily. And that's right, Yantrasana, the compass pose, the sundial pose. All right, belt around the right foot, extending the right leg up, and press down through that left leg to help the right leg go up. And then let's breathe. One more breath. And then belt into the right hand, and we'll take that right leg out to the diagonal. So you put the left hand on your knee, on the floor, in front or behind, whatever is useful to help yourself get situated here. And then maybe bringing that left arm up overhead. Lots of core strength lifting through the top of the head. And bringing that leg back out in front of you. And then taking the belt off and trying your best to slowly float the leg down. Picking up that left leg, cross it over the right. So we have a Matsyendrasana with a straight right leg position. We'll twist to the left, which is the back of the mat. Inhale and exhale. Lengthen up a little more. Feel that width pulling shoulder to shoulder. Come back. And then we will just disentangle our legs and then make our way back up to downward facing dog and through the vinyasa or not. So I am going to turn around to the other end this time. And then we'll all be back in downward facing dog after as many vinyasas as you would like to do. All right, here we are. Let's lift our left leg up. And through to the lunge, and we will come up in the warrior number 1. Pressing that left hip down, left sitting bone down as you bring yourself up. Lifting up, grounding down, taking a few breaths here. And then a big wide reach down the side and hands to the floor to bring yourself to the pigeon. Walking the left foot across, left knee forward diagonal, and finding your pigeon on this side. Or maybe bringing that right leg around in front or sitting to the side or using cross legs. Or maybe you're on the floor in the figure 4. All right. And then let's really settle into our breath in this cobra position here in the upright pigeon. Inhale up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. What if you could lift your right leg off the floor, trying to wake up our back leg just a little more. And then let's ripple. So make the hands as wide as you need to. As we pull that upper chest forward and over, and rounding ourselves back up. And doing that twice more. Oh, I don't remember. Did we do 4 the last time on the other side? I don't know. Let's do 1 more just in case. And then here we are. Take another breath. And we'll reach through the right leg, turn into Konasana, turning to the side. Rearranging yourself in your space as needed. A little short forward, maybe with a little squinch to get settled in. And maybe you need a little bend in the knees to have a long spine, so finding that balance point. And then we'll reach out wide through the arms, crossing the left arm under, holding the shoulders, or going to the eagle pose arms, wrapping those lower arms. Couple nice deep breaths here between the shoulder blades. And then reaching up through those fingertips, untwine the arms. Big reach out to the side, coming forward and over, push from behind, reach, hands on the legs. Inhaling into the center, exhale, pouring out. And then coming up. So this time we're going to bend the right leg. So remember, I'm not the mirror right now. Bending the right leg. That would be the leg toward the back of your mat. Or, most importantly, the leg you didn't bend on the first side. Or you can keep that right leg straight. That will work as well. And then having that belt where you can reach it as we bring the left leg in, straight out in front of the hip joint. And take a moment there, considering putting something under that right knee maybe so you can really feel that press down and ground down. And then we will take that belt, putting it around the left foot, and we'll extend the left leg up. So to help the left leg go up, really think of pressing the right leg down. Inhale and exhale, Yantrasana. The compass pose or the sundial pose. In this position, it really looks like the sundial. Breathing. And then we'll shift the belt into the left hand, bringing that left leg out to the diagonal. Try not to tip yourself over. You can use that right hand on the right knee, maybe behind you, maybe in front. Really get a little more extend through the spine, a little more stability. And then maybe bring that arm up overhead. So this is one of those poses where it actually works to think of drawing the stomach in a little more, squeezing the butt a little more. Take a deep breath. And then bringing that left leg back to the center. And taking the belt off, trying to slowly float the left leg down. All right, and extracting your right leg there, crossing it over. Deep breath. And twisting to the right. Inhale and exhale. Expand and extend a little more. And then coming back to the center, and we'll just disentangle the legs and making your way back up to downward facing dog. And through the vinyasa or not. And let's lift our right leg up. And dog at the high fire hydrant, bending the knee. And then see if you can find that pull back here, even with the knee bend, which I always feel kind of pushes me a little toward my hands when I bend the knee. Really press back with the back of the left leg. Pull back with that right knee. And then swinging that leg through to the lunge, and we'll come to the warrior number 2, the lateral lunge, grounding that left foot down, big windmill up to the warrior number 2. Checking your alignment, inner knee to the inner thigh, there we go, inner thigh, inner knee over the foot. Pulling wide. Dancing warrior, bringing that right arm up. If you want to do the half binding here, go ahead with a little roll down and back of the left shoulder. Pulling that right sitting bone toward the floor. And then stay in the side bend as we slowly straighten up that right leg. Pulling up the whole right side. And then into the triangle, hinging over. Unfurl that left arm if it was in the half binding. And then maybe seeing if you can connect something here to that Yantrasana out to the diagonal side. Maybe your right leg just feels a little more stretched out. And we'll go up to Ardha Chandrasana, bending the right leg, shifting the weight forward and up. Make sure that left leg's holding itself up. Press up with that left outer thigh. Keep pressing up as we make our way back to the warrior two. So pressing up as you bend the right knee. Don't think about going down. Think about resisting going down and then letting that left foot land. Coming back up in the warrior two. Deep breath. Dancing warrior. And just windmilling down, stepping back through the vinyasa, four knot, downward facing dog. And I'm going around to the other side. All right, here we go, left leg. Lifting the left leg up. And then dog at the high fire hydrant. Maybe just noticing, did you do that little drop and shift forward, little sink into the shoulders? I did. And then see if you can press back and pull back a little more. Pressing back with the back of the right leg, pulling back and up with the left knee. And then through to the lunge. And coming up in the warrior number two on the left. Making sure everything arrived. And then settling into your breath. Dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up, maybe half binding if you like, with that right shoulder rolling down and back. Feeling that resistance of the left sitting bone to the floor. And then as we straighten the left leg, we slowly ease out on that resistance. Lifting up and over more and more and more. And hinging over into the triangle. And thinking about that Yantrasana, left leg out to the diagonal. Or maybe just enjoying feeling a little more spacious here. And then we'll make our way up to Ardha Chandrasana, the half moon. And really work that right leg. Press through the heel, press the outer right leg up to the ceiling. Pulling yourself up out of the floor. And then we'll make our way back to warrior two, but resisting. So we bend the left leg and we press up even more with the right. As we try to bend the left leg a little more, reach a little more through the right heel, it lands on the floor. And coming back up in the warrior number two. And left arm up, dancing warrior. And windmilling down, stepping back to the plank. And we're going to lower ourselves to the floor once more. Coming down onto your belly, doing the small cobra. And coming down. Once more to Salabhasana, interlocking the fingers, rolling those shoulders out. We'll lift both legs. Reaching long through the legs, lengthen and lift. Trying to squeeze those legs together. And then let's do the opposite. Try to press them out like that leg in the air in the Ardha Chandrasana, trying to press the outer right thighs away. Squeeze them back together. Releasing, coming down. To the Sphinx. So we're going to be trying to go up into that plank and into the dolphin again, just so you know, in case you want to move more forward and back on your mat. All right, but right now we're just in the Sphinx with our pelvis nice and comfortable on the floor. As we inhale up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then let's tuck those toes under. So maybe just lifting onto the knees first. Contract, lifting up onto the knees, feeling that core strength, and then maybe those knees can come up. And then being as flat as you can. And let's come back down. So we're only going to do one more lift up and then make our way to the dolphin pose from there. All right, here we go. Lifting up, be in that plank for a moment. And then tiptoeing forward a little bit with the feet into the dolphin. And we'll do the press back first, pressing those forearms down. You can always interlock the fingers for a little more support here. Pressing back, pulling back. And then a little slide forward. So we're not trying to flatten to the plank again. We're trying to do a little arch in the upper back. And then sliding back. And even when you're done sliding back, keep sliding back just a little more. Coming down and sitting back in child's pose. And coming up, so let's come up and do Ustrasana, the camel pose. Coming up onto your knees. Short Tadasana. And then hands behind, maybe doing the fingertips down. That's my new favorite one. And lifting up and over. You always come down and do the bridge pose if you don't want to be up here on your knees. And so here in Ustrasana, coming out, making your way back in if needed. Maybe sliding the hands down toward the heels. Trying to be somewhere that you can still breathe. So you can be doing one long Ustrasana, which is what I'm doing here, or you can do 2 or 3 shorter ones. See, what is your lower back feeling like today? And we'll finish up with our back bending in the next couple of breaths. Where when you make your way out, that's when you really have to be focused and aware, using lots of strength. And take a little sit back in child's pose, maybe a small cat and cow on the way. And then we're going to do the thread the needle shoulder stretch on all fours. So if you're down there in the bridge pose, you can come back up, or maybe you can stay lying down, do the eagle pose again if you'd like. All right, so here we are on all fours, putting the left hand in the center. Big twist open to the right, lifting the right arm up. And then we'll dive that right arm under, walking the hand out to the left, pull the right shoulder down to the right and down toward the floor. Inhale and exhale. With each breath, surrendering a little more to gravity. And then we will come up and go to the other side. Right hand in the center, big twist up and open. And diving that left arm through. Walking the hand out, pulling the shoulder down and back. Inhale and exhale, melting into the floor. And extracting that left arm. And we will make our way to Shavasana. Coming down, sliding those legs out to straight, maybe giving them a little shake. Stuff out of the way. Backs of the hands on the floor. We could take a few wrist circles on your way down to the floor. Landing on the floor. Inhale and exhale, letting the eyes close. Everything sinks into the floor. And of course, staying longer if you'd like. And breathing back into your body, moving the fingers and toes, maybe circling the wrists and the ankles. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bend the knees to gently make your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. Get this recording